Hi there, my name is Nathan and this is the Human Experience, and today I want to talk about the collective. Now, when I talk about this, I'm talking about the collective of humanity in terms of consciousness and in terms of physical being as well. And the fact that as humans are connected, I feel, both from the past and from the present and into the future. And that day to day, we don't always pay this a lot of attention. And even throughout my life, I haven't paid this a lot of attention. But over the years, I've gradually thought more and more about the collective and about our connection, I guess, with the universe, with the earth, with each other, and everything around us, and how it interlinks and how we can see like almost a path that has been laid out or a past that has already played out. It's a very interesting kind of concept, but I want to kind of use some kind of examples and some kind of maybe analogies and metaphors to try and understand it. And just like things that I've noticed through certain experiences where I've been, had quite a profound understanding within myself. But a lot of the things I'm saying, they're coming from either lived experiences, my own insights, others' insights, or just an intuition. And I know these things are not like factual necessarily, but some things are just felt, right? And you don't actually need someone to go out and prove it or tell you that it exists or tell you that this is how it really is. You just kind of know. There's many things throughout history, especially if we bring up science and religion, where our views have shifted and maybe what we believed has been the total opposite, or what we believed we were right in. So yeah, there's always room for maneuver in this realm of knowing what is truth and what is real and what is an illusion as such, or just a made up kind of experience in our minds. Consciousness is so hard to grasp and hard to actually put your finger on it to what it actually is. And it's just part of the understanding of the human experience, really. I see it as exploring that. We've explored the earth. Some people now want to embark on exploring space, and obviously these are kind of the physical, yeah. So once we've explored all these avenues, we'll still be left with the inner self, like the place that is closest to us, that is right here. And I think we'll always be kind of searching within ourselves to find answers, and that's fine in itself. And even if we don't get answers, that's fine. My current job is as a lorry driver. So I often think whether this is a good or bad thing, because this is where it plays into the future and how our previous actions can have an effect on the future, is what I see when I'm driving is miles upon miles upon miles of tarmac. And I thought to myself in a couple of different ways that, one, this is an amazing collaboration. The fact that, as I see it, gangs of workmen have built this infrastructure and have made bridges and have made, it pass through hills and certain tunnels, and the work that has gone in to actually make that is quite amazing. Like, it's quite a feat of humanity to create this network across the earth. And I think of all the time and effort that has gone in, like the people that have throughout their career maybe seen a major section of road be completed, and then they retired, and that was their life's work. And people also that have started up companies to kind of support this construction, and it's been their passion, or it's been their, again, like I say, life's work. It's just fascinating. And then to later on lead to, again, me being able to just simply drive from one end of the country to another without thinking twice. I really appreciate that effort. At the same note, there's always that, as I'll talk about in this channel, the duality of, okay, should we have tarmac like a big chunk of the earth? Like, should we actually do this? There's reasons why we might have issues with flooding, with the use of land, with lack of space for housing, because ultimately this network of roads has took up lots of land that could be used for farming, for housing, for nature as well as their environment. So it has an impact as well. And I guess that's, in this modern times, what I see as wrestling with is that battle between progress and sustainability, and kind of forward thinking, what impact things will have in generations to come. So yeah, in this time, what that road has meant is fast travel, the ease of movement of goods, the fact that people can get parcels delivered, and we can just travel to different parts of the country and sometimes go and enjoy them parts of the country, be that, the Peak District, the Lake District, wherever we want to go, to beaches. It's all kind of, the whole network has been laid out for us. And it's like, it is one of the things that our generation is really lucky to have that. But we're also wrestling with that. To what extent do we need to do any more, or do we need to cut back on this kind of fast travel? That is the collective on a physical kind of level. So something is made prior to our existence, be that the motor car, be that trains, be that computers, whatever it is, all these inventions, the toilet, TV, radio, planes, everything that has been made, just simple instruments that you use in the kitchen that you might not even think of. Someone has come up with that idea, and that might have been their life's work to make the perfect mug or to make a whisk. Like, a lot of thought and effort and time has gone into them things, and we just see them manifested instantly if we're born in this current time. And obviously there's things to be invented and made in the future. So there's things we won't see, or we will work on as people, when we're trying to solve certain issues now with energy, with solar panels getting better, with batteries getting better. We learn, are they the way forward? Are they the future? Are they sustainable? Wind energy, they're looking at nuclear fusion and stuff like that. So we're trying to manipulate and get the structures of the earth to work for us. And yeah, it takes a collective effort and thought for that to happen. And that's what I'm saying about the collaboration and the previous work done by our ancestors. It shouldn't be taken lightly. Like, it should be really honored and looked upon as kind of gratitude that that effort was made, even if it was rightly or wrongly, like they made something or come up with something that wasn't good in society. Like, I'm sure the invention of, or the thought of smoking or alcohol or things like that, like, they don't always have a good impact. Even something like the motor car, great for transport, horrible for accidents, and then things come into play, like making safety devices like airbags or ABS brakes. As well as this, in the physical, there's also like the conscious thought. So over time, we have learned to do all these physical things. We've had to develop our social structures. So the network of humanity has grown. We've gone from small settlements or maybe nomadic like lifestyles to being more in villages and towns. And like I say, that brought us closer together and allowed us to collaborate a lot easier and learn from each other. So from that rose different cultures, different ways of living, basically. So you can think of even things like food. I don't know the timeline of these things, but imagine like someone in Italy, for example, I'll use, made something like spaghetti. And then at the same time, because of that distance and that kind of separateness, then in the East, in China, Japan, around them kind of regions, they came up with noodles. Now, noodles and spaghetti are not that far off each other. They're pretty much the same kind of thing that they're made from. There's just different techniques for making them, and the way they're used in their cuisine could be seen as different. Spaghetti is with the Mediterranean diet, so you've got your pasta sauces, the use of their kind of produce, olives, tomatoes, onions. And then in the East, there's other things like that we weren't familiar with maybe in the West, of like having certain spices and certain herbs and stuff that went with the noodles, and you can see that maybe more as like a soup based thing or a broth or something like that, rather than how pasta is with a sauce. Obviously in modern times these have kind of lost their way and become kind of commercial kind of commodities in jars and packets, but you know, there is a tradition to cooking for each area. You know, while the French were making the baguette, the Indians were making the roti and the chapatis. So there's so many different ways of doing the same thing: bread, pasta, rice. There's different ways that we use them ultimately to feed ourselves. And then now there's been an explosion again through time, that it's all kind of come together with the melting pot of these mixed cultures and diverse people and races within communities. They've all kind of come together to make things. So you see like modern takeaways are like Indo-Chinese. So there's like two cultures of food coming together. You know, pizza, you could say there's like the American style, the American kind of Italian went there and made like these deep dish pizzas, which are different to like the more traditional, you know, if you go to Naples and you sample, you know, the birth of or the home of pizza, the thin, stone baked, very quality ingredients and stuff like that. So yeah, there's that kind of thing that takes place, like I say, of language developing, culture developing, and then manifesting into the physical form of ideas and things being made and produced. Again, to even think more about this process is that throughout the time of doing all these things, there's another thing that is going on collectively, and that is through the process of reproduction, we are inheriting traits from our ancestors. So the same way we might look or have certain physical characteristics like our body type or our blood type or whatever it is from our ancestors and from our grandparents and parents, is the same way that, imagine the structures of our brain, they could be similar. Now, I don't know if there's research out there or studies. I'm sure there is people that have looked into that. I think there is a case to be made that if you can look the same, then maybe you even think the same as your ancestors and your parents and your grandparents. And therefore, there can obviously be differences where people break that cycle of, you know, a certain trait and create a new trait within their family lineage. But overall, I think there's always like that slight, it's kind of like you are a copy of your ancestors to a certain degree, you know, a different mix. Obviously, your parents are a different mix to your grandparents, to your great-grandparents. Like, there's always that divide because a mum and a dad have met, come together, and they've created a new mix. It's like colours, isn't it? It's like there's a slightly different shade of red or blue or green that has come together to make a new kind of colour. You can still recognise it as being a certain colour, but it's a different shade. And that's what I think of in terms of thought. Like, there's a similar kind of train of thought because maybe your brain structure is similar to your ancestor, but it's taking new paths as well, and it's creating these new shades of creative thought. Or again, the environment that it's in can maybe alter the structure, the way you develop, the things you're exposed to. So yeah, you know, this has led us for humanity to take this new direction of modern living. And yeah, we're on this kind of, if I just want to sum up the modern world, it's like very fast-paced life. A lot of it is about, you know, career-driven or trying to achieve, ambitious, and all them things, which is great. But I think it's kind of just a more intense and kind of accelerated way that we've been throughout history. We probably just did things a little bit slower. Things took longer because, you know, for a long time, knowledge was either just passed on by word of mouth, which in itself has flaws of like not being told correctly. So that term Chinese whispers, you know, if you're in a group of say 20 people and someone starts off saying a sentence to someone about something or a fact, by that 20th person, it might have altered a bit or completely changed. So word of mouth has its drawbacks. I think of the Wright brothers, when you see that plane in the early kind of video and it's kind of just taking off for a few seconds and then crashing back down to the ground, and it's almost in like a speeded up format, black and white obviously. So like, yeah, it's capturing it, but it's not exactly how it was on the day or in the moment. But it's a good kind of copy. It's a good copy. And that's pretty much going back to how we are. We're like a copy of our relatives and our ancestors. So yeah, the way, I want to the final point I want to make on this video is that, as you can see, I've traced that line of development within humanity of progress, you could call it, and advancement. And I'm not saying it's always for the better, but that's the kind of terms I think of. And it's took us in a direction. And it's just to say that now we're here in this present moment, like we know what kind of works, working together, trial and error, experimentation, collecting data, but also intuition is very important. So we should listen to each other. And if it doesn't feel right, we should question it. And okay, I understand to a certain degree, we need strong evidence or facts to sometimes move things forward. But on the same note, sometimes we just need to listen to ourselves. Like now we're living in a very fast pace. And yeah, we could say we aim for that with high internet speeds and fast travel and, instant messaging, all these kind of things. But, the use of AI nowadays to speed things up even more. But at what point we can see in our minds, we're saying that actually we need to slow down and really reflect on things and take our time, because the things will still happen. But if we're more conscious in what we're doing, hopefully it will be done in a more appropriate way and in a more conscious way, and therefore less of a detrimental impact on our lives and more of a positive impact. That's the kind of thing that I'm getting at, that this collective can come together and do fantastic things. So yeah, that's one of humanity's true strengths, that if you have us as individuals, we're actually, for want of a better phrase, we're not that great. But when we work together and collaborate, we can do fantastic things. And I think looking ahead for the Earth and where it's at and helping the rest of the planet out and the environment, we need that strength to really come together right now and create more community and more coming together of different organizations and cultures and people and countries to work towards that one common goal of making our planet the best place that it can be, and for ourselves having the best experience that we can have while we're here on this earth. There's a hip-hop album by Talib Kweli and High Tech called Reflections Eternal from 2000, and I'd just like to quote one of the lyrics off a song called African Dream, and it goes like this: "We the reflection of our ancestors, we'd like to thank you for the building blocks you left us. As your spirit possessed us, you blessed us. Thank you very much. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you." And I think the way this sums up how wisdom and knowledge is passed on from the past generations, and how the current generations and the future generations should be so grateful and show gratitude for that, is just a wonderful way that that's put. So yeah, as a final thought, I would say that we need to put our energy into uplifting each other, helping each other, and progressing in the right way. So yeah, thank you for your time, guys, and I'll see you next time on The Human Experience.